Hello everyone, and welcome to the World War Photographer channel. Today we will talk about the period after the war. Don't forget to subscribe to support our work. It truly means a lot to us. On December 1st, 1945, in Aversa, Italy, German Wehrmacht General Anton Dostler is tied to a stake moments before his execution by a firing squad. The commander of the 75th Army Corps was sentenced to death by a United States military commission in Rome for ordering the execution of 15 unarmed American prisoners of war on March 26, 1944, in La Spezia, Italy. On June 24, 1945, during the Victory Day parade in Moscow, Soviet soldiers march with lowered standards of the defeated forces. This symbolic act marked the Soviet Union's triumph over Nazi Germany, a powerful display of victory and retribution. Near Yokohama, Japan, two gaunt but relieved Allied prisoners gather their few belongings after being freed from Japanese captivity on September 11, 1945. Rescued by an American Mercy Squadron of the US Navy, their frail bodies reflect the hardships they endured, but their faces show the joy of liberation. A Moscow railway station becomes a scene of triumph as victorious Soviet soldiers return home from war. Their weary faces bear the marks of battle, yet their eyes shine with the pride of victory and the relief of homecoming. On July 20, 1946, an aerial view of Hiroshima reveals a city still devastated by the atomic bomb, with only small signs of reconstruction amid the vast ruins. The slow rebuilding process is hindered by severe shortages of materials and equipment, leaving much of the city in desolation. Amid the scorched wreckage and rubble of what was once his home in Yokohama, a man surveys the devastation. The remnants of his life lie scattered, a stark reminder of the destruction left in the wake of war. Soviet photographer Yevgeny Khalday stands with Soviet forces near the Brandenburg Gate in Berlin. Capturing a historic moment, Khalday immortalizes the Red Army's victory as the city falls to the Allies in May 1945. A P-47 Thunderbolt of the US Army, 12th Air Force flies low over the crumbled ruins of what once was Hitler's retreat at Berchtesgaden on May 26th of the same year. Small and large bomb craters dot the grounds around the wreckage. Hermann Göring, former Luftwaffe leader and second-in-command of Nazi Empire, appears in a mugshot on November 5, 1945, at the Central Registry in Paris. After surrendering to US soldiers on May 9th, he was taken to Nuremberg for war crimes trial. In 1946, during the Nuremberg trials, Hermann Göring and other Nazi leaders, including Rudolf Hess, Joachim von Ribbentrop, and Wilhelm Keitel, were sentenced to death. Göring committed suicide before his execution, while Hess received life imprisonment, serving until his death in 1987. On September 14, 1945, many of Germany's captured new and experimental aircraft were displayed in London during Thanksgiving week. Among them was the Heinkel He-162 Volksjäger, a jet-propelled plane with a turbojet unit mounted above its fuselage, shown here in Hyde Park. 1 year after the D-Day landings in Normandy, enemy prisoners landscaped the first US cemetery at Saint-Laurent-sur-Mer, near Omaha Beach, France. This solemn task marks the aftermath of battle and the honoring of the fallen. In July 1946, Sudeten Germans make their way to the railway station in Liberec, in former Czechoslovakia, to be transferred to Germany. After the war, millions of German nationals and ethnic Germans were forcibly expelled from annexed and transferred lands, with an estimated 12 to 14 million involved, and 500,000 to 2 million dying during the expulsion. Jinpei Terravama, a survivor of the first atomic bomb ever used in warfare, retains scars from burns sustained in the Hiroshima explosion in June 1947. His injuries serve as a lasting reminder of the bomb's devastating power. Disabled buses, scattered across the streets of Tokyo, are being used to help relieve the acute housing shortage in the city, with Japanese people hauling the buses into a vacant lot to convert them into homes for their families, photographed on October 2nd, 1946. An American ground infantry soldier places his arm around a Japanese girl as they view the surroundings of Hibiya Park, near the Tokyo Palace of the Emperor, on January 21st, 1946. Their shared moment captures a scene of post-war connection amidst a changing Japan. This aerial view of the City of London around St. Paul's Cathedral shows bomb-damaged areas in April 1945. In July of the same year, 2 months after the Nazi capitulation, General Charles de Gaulle shakes hands with children in Lorient, France. The city, which housed a German U-boat base, had been almost completely destroyed, with 90% of it flattened due to heavy bombing during World War II. The super-transport ship General W.P. Richardson is docked in New York, with veterans of the European War cheering, many of whom fought in Africa, Salerno, Anzio, Cassino, and Italy's mountain warfare on June 7, 1945. This aerial file photo shows a portion of Levittown, New York, in 1948, shortly after the mass-produced suburb was completed on Long Island farmland. It became the first of many developments for soldiers returning home from World War II and a symbol of post-war suburbia in the US. On August 24, 1945, Rose Claire Leonard watches the first $100 television set, the first moderately priced receiver, at a New York department store. The 5 by 7-inch image marks the beginning of post-war mass production, leading to regular commercial programming by 1948. On May 25th, a US soldier examines a solid gold statue, part of Hermann Göring's private loot, discovered by the 7th US Army in a mountainside cave near Schönau am Königssee, Germany. The cave also contained priceless stolen paintings from across Europe. On November 20th, Mönchengladbach Cathedral stands amid the rubble in Germany, still in need of repairs. While some churches were completely ruined, this one managed to survive the devastation of the war. On May 21st, Colonel Byrd, the commandant of Belsen Camp, ordered the last hut at Belsen concentration camp to be burned. A rifle salute was fired in honor of the dead, and as a flamethrower set the hut alight, a German flag and a portrait of Hitler went up in flames. On June 6, 1945, mothers walk their children to school through the streets of Aachen, Germany, for registration at the first public school opened by the US military government after the war. In April 1947, a general view of the International Military Tribunal for the Far East meeting in Tokyo is shown. The trial of 28 Japanese civilian and military leaders for war crimes had begun on May 3, 1946, resulting in 7 executions and prison sentences for others. In October 1945, Soviet soldiers march in northern Korea, following Japan's 35-year rule over the peninsula. After World War II, the Allies divided Korea for occupation, Soviets in the north and US forces in the south. The planned elections never took place, and both powers established separate states, leading to the Korean War in 1950, which ended with an armistice in 1953, though the two countries remained technically at war. Communist leader Kim Il-sung chats with a farmer from Chingshanli, Kangso County, South Pyongyang, in North Korea. In a photo from North Korea's official Korean Central News Agency. On March 26, 1946, soldiers of the Chinese Communist 8th Route Army drill at Yan'an, the capital of the area governed by the Chinese Communist Party. These soldiers belong to the Night Tiger Battalion. After years of conflict with the Kuomintang, the two sides fought a common enemy during World War II, but resumed their civil war after the Soviet Union withdrew from Manchuria. The KMT was eventually defeated, leading to the establishment of the People's Republic of China in 1949. The electronic numerical integrator and computer, the first general-purpose electronic computer, was revealed to the public. Weighing 30 tons and developed at the University of Pennsylvania, it was initially built for calculating artillery tables. Its inventors later promoted the technology through influential lectures at the university. On July 25th, the US detonated a 40-kiloton nuclear bomb, codenamed Baker, at Bikini Atoll in the Marshall Islands. The explosion, part of Operation Crossroads, occurred 27 meters underwater, 3.5 miles from the atoll, with 73 ships, including the Japanese battleship Nagato, used to study nuclear effects on naval vessels. In 1946, Northrop's XB-35 flying wing bomber flew as an experimental heavy bomber for the US Army Air Force. Despite its innovative design, the project was terminated shortly after World War II due to technical difficulties. On September 21, 1945, Japanese ammunition was dumped into the sea during the US occupation. Most of Japan's war industry and armament were dismantled in the aftermath of World War II. On June 28, 1946, unidentified Nazi workers in decontamination clothing destroyed toxic bombs at the US Army Chemical Warfare Service Depot in St. Georgen, Germany. The disposal of 65,000 deadweight tons of German toxins, including mustard gas, was carried out by either burning or dumping the empty shells and bombs into the North Sea. On March 28th, the new cemetery at Belsen, Germany, was established to bury 13,000 individuals who died after the Belsen concentration camp was liberated. On July 15, 1945, Jewish survivors of the Buchenwald Nazi concentration camp, still in their camp clothing, stand on the deck of the refugee ship Mataroa at Haifa port during the British Mandate of Palestine. Many Jewish refugees were attempting to enter Palestine, despite British immigration restrictions, as tensions rose toward the establishment of Israel. On September 11, 1946, some of Poland's thousands of war orphans are seen at a Catholic orphanage in Lublin, where they are being cared for by the Polish Red Cross. The American Red Cross provided most of the clothing, vitamins, and medicines to support their recovery. On April 13th, the Empress of Japan visits a Catholic orphanage in Fujisawa, Tokyo, where Japanese nuns care for children who lost their parents in the war and air raids. The children wave Japanese flags to greet the Empress, who inspects the grounds and visits the chapel. On March 11th, new buildings rise from the ruins of Hiroshima as part of the government's reconstruction program. Single-story homes line a new highway, while damaged masonry buildings in the background stand as remnants of the first atomic bomb ever used in warfare. Photo taken on June 25th. Clocks are readied for export to Allied countries as collateral for goods Japan needed. 34 factories produced 123,000 clocks in April 1946. On June 9th, US General George S. Patton acknowledges the cheers of thousands during a parade in Los Angeles. Shortly after, he returned to Germany, where his controversial stance on employing ex-Nazis led to his relief from command. Patton later died in December from injuries sustained in a traffic accident. The famous Iwo Jima flag-raising photograph by Joe Rosenthal is visible on a war bonds billboard. In 1945, German women clear debris on Berlin's Tauentzienstraße, with the ruins of the Kaiser Wilhelm Church in the background. Due to the absence of able-bodied men, civilian women, known as Trümmerfrauen or rubble ladies, took on the responsibility of clearing the wreckage. The signs on the left indicate the border between the British-occupied and US sectors of the city. On September 9, 1948, 250,000 anti-communists protested in Berlin's Republic Square, near the ruined Reichstag, against the Soviet-imposed Berlin blockade. In response, the Allies launched the Berlin airlift, which continued until the blockade ended in 1949, leading to the division of Germany. The protest ended in clashes with Soviet troops, resulting in 2 German deaths. In March 1974, Hiro Onoda, a former Japanese army officer, emerged from the jungle of Lubang Island in the Philippines, 29 years after World War II ended. Believing the war was still ongoing, he and his comrades had carried out guerrilla activities. After meeting a Japanese traveler, Onoda was relieved of duty by his former commander. He returned to his country, having killed 30 Filipinos during his time in hiding, but was pardoned by President Ferdinand Marcos. Thanks for watching until the end. If you enjoyed these historical World War photos, don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave your thoughts in the comments below. See you in the next video.